my name is Nur Alina Natasha binti Azman. My matric card number is 2020706795 and I am from BA 1194B. A banker's acceptance, or called BA document, is a promise future payment or time draft which is accepted and guaranteed by a bank and run on a deposit at the bank. It specifies three elements. First is amount of money, second is the date, third is the person to which the payment is due. This is the sample of bank acceptance. It can use for both imports and export of goods and services. Hence, both the parties have some transaction related. So, this is the diagram of bank acceptance for import. For imports, the bank acceptance may only be drawn for financing where a side bill of exchange is received from the foreign seller. When the importer doesn't have the money to pay the side bill, the importer will arrange with his bank for the side bill to be discharged by drawing a bank acceptance on the bank. If the bank is satisfied that the documents are in order and the BA complies with the terms and conditions of the acceptance credits, then it accepts the bank acceptance. After acceptance by the bank acceptance is discounted and the proceeds are used to discharge the side bill. This is the diagram of bank acceptance for exports. For exports, the bank acceptance may only be drawn where the exporter draws a usance bill on the foreign buyer. The exporter may first arrange the credit facilities with his bank. After effecting shipment of the goods, the exporter presents to the bank the usance bill of exchange together with the relevant documents for collection of the proceeds. The exporter draws a bank acceptance on the bank for the agreed portion of the face value of the bill. If the bank is satisfied that the BA complies with the terms and conditions, then it accepts the bank acceptance. After the date, the overseas buyer pays the bills of exchange. The amount collected provides the bank with funds in time to meet its bank acceptance. However, the bank had a right of recourse to the exporter if the overseas buyer doesn't pay. The exporter cannot pay the usance bill. It because the importer doesn't have the money to pay the side bill. How many days can BA draw? 30 days or more, but not more than 200 days from the date of acceptance. So the characteristic of the bank acceptance is issued against the creditworthiness of the party. The banker receives a commission for facilitating such trade and thus bank's profit is involved in the successful execution of the contract. Bank acceptance is available only for customers with good credit history. Such customers are usually corporate entities with good credit history. Such creditworthiness is also linked to the investment in bonds. Another characteristic is its marketability. It is a short-term debt instrument that can be traded in the market. Such an instrument can be sold in the market. In such a case, the liability to pay for the debt is transferred to an altogether third party. Such transfer is feasible only due to the ethical practice and stringent credit evaluation rules followed by the entity. Next, bank acceptance is known for its easy conversion from instruments to real hard money. It is said to have high liquidity since the amount is passed from the bank holder's account to the debit account at the time of the creation of the instrument. Thus, there is confirmation of liquidity with lower risk. So, how to request or apply the document of bank acceptance? So, how to apply the document? For a banker's acceptance, the importer will seek to make a purchase from an exporter, generally in another country. The exporter wants assurance of payment, but the importer also wants assurance that the seller can deliver. So what is a banker acceptance rate? Bank acceptance rates are assumed to be safe investment as they are backed by the bank, which means they often trade at a discount to face value. The banker acceptance rate is the market rate at which these instruments trade. It is the return an investor would receive if they purchase today and held until the payment date. Business entity wants to enter into a transaction of high value will approach its banker with which it has an account. It needs to provide details of the trade to be executed and the amount of credit required. The banker will assess the creditability of the account holder on various grounds and particularly the credit history of the account holder. If it is satisfied on all fronts, it will accept the liability on behalf of the account holder. The account holders need to prove the availability of sufficient funds on the date of execution and have to pay for the charge to the bank. The document of bank acceptance can be get in the secondary money market. Which provides the seller assurance against default. This gives the seller assurance related to payment. Meanwhile, buyers are afforded the ability to make purchases in a timely manner and not worry about having to make payments in advance. It has a relatively low cost compared to the hedge or benefit provided. Next, the disadvantage is that the bank will have to make good on the promised payment. This is the cons for the bank. To help hedge against this, the bank may require the buyer to post collateral before issuing the banker acceptance. Hence, the buyer may default, forcing the bank to make the payment.